from Kashmir. Moving on to something which should be a bit of a concern, if not already, for you. Now, has it ever happened to you that one morning you've woken up with excessive sweating, sometimes with a severe headache, with the blurry vision sometimes, and you don't know what to do? Also, some people say that their feet feel almost frozen, they're unable to move, and then they realize they have to rush to a hospital and figure things out. In most of these cases, when you do go to a doctor, they will end up telling you that this is hypertension. And research now shows that hypertension or high BP is not just for those above 45, which was generally the norm, which is what we thought, ek umar ke baad sabko, as in India they say sabko ho jata hai BP or diabetes in India, infamously said, all wrong facts by the way. But now, of late, younger people are seeing an early onset of hypertension. People in their 30s, some even in their 20s, some even younger, scaringly, are getting hypertensive. According to a 2018 report, 1 among 5 young adults in India suffer from hypertension, and they probably don't even know it. So, on the Breakfast Club today, let's put the spotlight on what are the symptoms of hypertension. If you have it running in your family, how can you get out of it? And what can you do if you're an existing hypertensive patient and ensure that you get out of it, you don't have to take medicines for the rest of your life. But before we move to our expert, let's just throw some statistics over there. Some 27 million young adults in India alone are affected from hypertension. And a quick note over there, this is according to the census done in 2011. So imagine what the figure is now. 30% of adults in India have hypertension. And if you thought this is an urban problem and not so much a rural problem, look at the next statistic. High BP in urban India is 34%, in rural 28%. Not much of a difference over there. And yes, men tend to get it more than women, about 4% higher over there, but that gap also bridging quite quickly. Now, early onset means that before the age of 45, people are getting it. And also, a lot of people don't have clarity on what exactly is hypertension. So, let's clear that on the program today. If your blood pressure is above 130 by 80 or is actually 130 by 80, irrespective of your age, a toddler, a young teen, a teen, adult or whoever, if your blood pressure is 130 by 80 or above, you are hypertensive. Who does generally get it? People who have higher BMI, higher body mass index. And if you've been watching the program by now, you should know what it is and how do you calculate that. Sometimes it has been said that there is an increase in dementia because of blood pressure that goes untreated for several years. But let's look at symptoms really to understand how should you get to know that you are hypertensive. Yes, genes play a role, but sometimes without that as well, some signs you must watch out for. If you have a headache, recurring headache, if you have high triglyceride levels, these are the bad cholesterols in your test, remember. If you have chest pain, if you have blurred vision, if you have excessive sweating sometimes, or you have erratic behavior, or you have massive mood swings, as they say, all of these could actually be signs of hypertension. But what's causing it? Well, genetics, like I said, play a massive role. So if your parents have been on blood pressure medicines, you are most likely to get it unless you do something about it. If your parents have diabetes, or if you yourself have diabetes, you're very likely to also get hypertension. Consuming too much of alcohol and tobacco also leads to hypertension. Obesity, like we said, higher body mass index will lead to hypertension. Too much salt will lead to hypertension, and not eating enough fruits and vegetables will also lead to hypertension. Low physical activity, one of the major reasons, and erratic meal habits. Not letting your body know what is the time to wake up, what is the time to sleep, what is the time I will be served meals. If you're not giving the right signals to your body, you are calling for hypertension. And as the word suggests, tension, it basically comes from stress as well. When you have imbalance in your physical and mental being and your day-to-day life. So, that's some information, but let's talk about solutions, because this right here on the Breakfast Club, we're not trying to tell you that everybody will get it, but those who do, there is a way to get out of it. And for that, we've got Dr. Vaibhav Keshwar joining us. Keshkar Bekeparan joining us here on the program. Good morning, Doc. He's a consulting nephrologist at the Fortis Hospital at Mulund. Doc, like I said, it's scary to see the number of young adults getting hypertension. Is that what is coming out in your day-to-day diagnosis as well? When you meet young patients, are you seeing this more and more?
Indeed. We are seeing more and more young people getting hypertension and more young people getting organ damage because of hypertension. So both the things are scary. And we just ran a survey in schools in Mumbai, Thane and Pune. So to our surprise, 7% of 8th and 9th standard students had high blood pressure.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So in
7%
of 8th and 9th standard students. Wow. So in adolescents and adults, high blood pressure is anything more than or equal to 130 by 18.
Yeah.
Younger children, we define it a bit differently. But what we, with the number we get is because anything above this number will affect your organs. It will affect your heart, kidneys and brain, of course.
So this is the random survey. You went to schools and you tried to sort of get a status check on their physical health and their mental health, and this is what you found out. But what could be the reason? Why are kids in 8th and 9th standard getting it?
So I think the answer is in our lifestyle. We are gaining weight as a population. We are changing our dietary habits. We are eating more of salt, refined carbohydrates. We are not sleeping enough. I think those are the reasons.
Sleep, yes. Right, but so one issue is of kids getting it. So there is this big misinformation, like we were speaking about earlier, that once you get hypertension, you will always have hypertension. Is that true, or can it be reversed in young and old people?
It can be reversed, and the mainstay is lifestyle modification. If we lose weight, if we have less of salt, increase healthy food items, for example, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, will definitely be able to reduce high blood pressure. If we make this as our habit rather than one time, like a 3-month course or 6 months crash course, I think we will be able to manage this epidemic very well.
You're saying make it a lifestyle to stay healthy. That's the only way to fight it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is a small population where there is underlying cause of hypertension. And unless we treat that cause, it's going to be a tough task with lifestyle modification alone. You rightly said about family history. There are certain genetic problems which can lead to hypertension. There are certain kidney problems that lead to hypertension. So we must analyze the reason of high blood pressure and work on it.
Analyze that. So those, say, who have a family history, what should they be doing to ensure that it stops here and doesn't get passed down to more generations?
So the most important is detection of hypertension. You rightly said about the symptoms of hypertension, but those are not there in majority of the cases.
That's an extreme case.
That's an extreme case. So most of these people are not having any symptoms at all. So unless we screen with a blood pressure monitor, we are not going to detect it early or able to prevent it before organ damage sets in. So a routine periodic screening, for example, every 6 months or annual check is essential. If there is any organ damage, it should be more.
But doctor, tell me this. Just one time your blood pressure popping up doesn't make a difference, right? Like so many people go to the doctor, and it is often said that just sitting in the clinic with the doctor and wondering about your health, sometimes the stress shoots up your...
that is very true.
That happens all the time. So how do you detect it the right way, and does it have to be regularly high blood pressure to establish that you have hypertension? Because we know there are enough and more doctors who will just give you a pill the minute they see, one...
ideally, we should diagnose high blood pressure only when it is persistently high for few visits. It's not one-time diagnosis. Sometimes there is something called as white coat hypertension. As you rightly said, sitting in a clinic, someone is checking my blood pressure.
White coat hypertension. I love that word.
So simply because your BP is getting checked, your BP goes up. And that's not true hypertension. So it has to be sustained hypertension across a few clinic visits, and then only you label this as hypertension.
Right. Otherwise, and the medicine also for hypertension, there are long-term side effects, right? The ones that we give. So one has to be careful.
No, I don't agree with that. Nowadays, most of the blood pressure medicines are very safe. We have decades of data, and they do not damage your organs.
Okay.
Having said that, first step in treating hypertension is lifestyle modification. We call this as non-pharmacologic therapy. Therapy without medicines. It involves weight reduction, limiting salt intake, having more of fibers, high fiber diet, exercise, avoid smoking, limiting alcohol intake.
Right.
These are all these are pills only.
I was quite amazed at the data, doctor, which said that in rural India there are so many cases of hypertension. I mean, we assume that people in rural India eat cleaner, have more physical exercise compared to us. Why is that emerging?
You know what? Even rural India is getting urbanized at a rapid pace. So they are catching up. They are eating fast food, not to the extent urban India has, but yeah, it's definitely more than what they did 20 years back. So that gap between urban India and rural India is closing.
Bridging, yeah. Interesting. So there is a white coat hypertension. Stay away from that. But we are waiting
You can't stay away. We can't stay away.
Can't stay away from that. But we are waiting for the day when actually we go to doctors and they just don't give us a pill right away. I think the takeaway from this conversation is that you should be aware, and please, we want more and more doctors also in the system to say that, you know, you can reverse it. You don't always need a pill for it if you are religious with the follow-up and ensure that your lifestyle is a particular way, right?
So I'll just take 1 minute of yours. So we have a group of nephrologists from Mumbai Nephrology Group. A few years back, we ran this campaign, Ek Chamach Kam. So can you spread that word? Ek chamach kam. So if you have
Namak ka ek chamach
exactly, and sugar and oil and maida, just 1 spoon less of that, and that will make you more healthy and stay away from hypertension.
That's nice. Ek chammach kam. That's all you have to do. Ensure that 1 spoon less of sugar, 1 spoon less of salt, 1 spoon less of maida.
That is like all the refined
carbohydrates. All the refined. And that will actually translate into eating lesser. Your body actually doesn't need so much, right?
True.
And just listening to your body as well. So that's a great campaign. Good luck with that, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us right here.
Thanks.